Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith as we take a look at investing in the economy. Bob, you recently shared with me a newsletter that you sent to your clients. And one of the things that you said that caught my eye was your take on politics and how much attention should be paid to it as an investor. So we do have an election coming up in a couple of weeks. So how much attention should we pay to it?
In a phrase, none. Studies have been done going back 100 years. And the outcome of political elections have no bearing on subsequent market activity. People mistakenly invest their political views, or worse, their political biases, their emotional investment in the outcome of an election into their financial decision-making to their own detriment. Go back through any election, go back to when there was an uproar over John Kennedy being elected president and how things were going to be terrible. And so people are investing this kind of mentality into the decisions they're making in their portfolio, and they are hurting themselves doing it. So ignore it. It's not connected. The data is clear.
So our take on elections, we definitely don't invest around them, meaning, if this outcome, then the market is going to go up or down. However, it is very important to follow the implications of an election, right? So the things that we in this industry are most concerned about, things like tax policy and trade, immigration, these things are very important to the overall health of our economy, and tracking and better understanding at what point we might see those policies, if there are changes, take action, is really important. And the dynamics of that change after we have an election in terms of what policies we think may or may not be implemented.
I'm agreeing 99, as I usually do with you, Carrie, 99.5%. The 0.5% is to change one word from implications to implementation. The implications we think we know now are subjective thoughts we have. We don't necessarily know what an elected official says when running may be very different than what they implement after. Pay attention to the implementations, all the things you mentioned, tax policies, programs, but not until it becomes real. You can't conjecture in advance.
Yeah. And what we know is usually what they say during a race is not what ends up happening.
Exactly. That's why you got to wait. That's why the election is not something that you take action upon. You take action thereafter, as you correctly said.
I have to relay a story when I was very young in this business, and I think it was the Tax Reform Act of '76, but it really doesn't matter. They had them every 2 years. And I was reading what they were talking about doing, and I got my father at lunch, who was a CPA, and I said to him, "Dad, are you paying attention to what's going on with this tax conversation?" He said, "Did they write a law?" And I said, "No, they're talking about it." He said, "When they write the law, I'll read it. In the meantime, I'm ignoring it."
Exactly.
And he said, "Also remember, when they shut a door, they'll open a window. My job is to find the open window." So 50 years later, I'm still repeating the story.
So have fun with the election. Don't take financial steps based on it.
Well, I find the conversation that you've had about this kind of interesting in this way about waiting for either implications or implementation, because 2 years ago, when the Democrats took back control of the presidency and the Congress, both chambers, that you knew that they were going to push for environmental issues and electric cars, vehicles, and that's where we saw the push coming out for the EVs. And so you're right. You nailed this one, that it's the implementation of what they say. The problem is, if the Republicans take back control of the House and the Senate in this coming election, are all bets off on energy and
we don't know that. We
Yeah.
just don't know that. I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle, but that's my conjecture. I'm not going to make a portfolio move based on my conjecture. I'm going to wait until it's much clearer.
And since
So investing for the long term.
And since you brought up electric vehicles, the world is producing enough lithium to make about 5 million car batteries. If they use all the lithium just for that, the world consumes 80 million cars a year. That's not even a dent in the green agenda. So the battery technology has to change, because what we're doing won't work. It can't work. There's not enough lithium being created in the world, and some of it's in places we don't want to do business with these days. Add to that what just happened with what's going on with the Ukraine situation. Suddenly the electric agenda just got shoved aside, and the reason is the world economy is tanking because we've been so dependent on Russian oil, and we can't just flip a switch and become electric. This is going to take time. There's huge infrastructure investments. This is going to go on forever. And it's not political. That's economic.
I think these are great lessons, and it can be doubly applied to technology. Whenever a new technology is introduced, and I don't care if it's for consumer or business, investors pile into whatever company is bringing it out. And then, people go, well, this isn't here immediately. What am I doing? The cash flows aren't going to be here for 7 to 10 years. And so I would always say to you, whatever that new technology is, pace yourself. It's going to take a while before it gets rolled out and finalized. And you will have plenty of time to figure out who the winners are and who the losers are. You don't have to do it hastily.
You mentioned the word time, and that is what we are out of. We've gone over our time limit a little bit. So I want to thank all of you once again. And that would be Kim and Bob and Frank and Carrie for joining me for Around the Table with Stacy Smith. And I hope that you join us again the next time. Thanks.